So now I'd like to introduce our two speakers. Today we have Kathy Case with Quantify North America. She is the founding member of Quantify North America, an emergency resource to support contractors' estimating teams when they are overwhelmed with work and threatened with the choice of overworking their estimators or missing a big deadline. Quantify currently serves the US and Canada and is expanding to serve Australia and the UK. In a response to increasing demand, we also offer shop drawings using CAD or estimating software. Kathy Case grew up around ceramic tiles, stone, and terrazzo as the third generation to her family work in the industry. Through her 45-year career, she has executed every role in a contracting company, from bookkeeping to estimating, installing to managing projects, and sales to executive management. Her passion for this industry is only surpassed by her love for her family. When her dad passed at just 53 years old, many people stepped up to mentor her. As she enters her fourth quarter of her career, it is her goal to pay it forward by mentoring others and advancing the industry to its fullest potential. This includes working with technology and AI-based companies to develop solutions that are easy to use and influencing people to adopt it. Our other presenter, Shayne Paterson, is the CEO and founder of JengAI. JengAI is an analytical CRM for specialty contractors powered by AI. It will identify the most lucrative projects and expedite the time each bid takes to estimate, price, track, and win, all in one place. Shayne is a technology industry veteran who spent decades building enterprise applications for some of the most well-respected financial institutions, including JP Morgan Chase and the UK Treasury, before launching his first technology startup, ERP Maestro, in 2013. With deep family roots in construction, Shayne has seen firsthand the impact that technology can have on the sector. Please join me in welcoming Shayne and Kathy.
Thank you. Are we on? Are we on?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good morning, everyone. Just before us, Ron Nash and his team did a great job of introducing AI. Can I see a show of hands of who might have been in for that? Okay, a couple hands, cool. We're going to talk today more specific about applications that you can use on the contracting side. Navigating the future of technology and AI is critical because it is here. Most people think that it just came around in the last year or two, but ultimately AI started in 1951 when the government created the software to start learning on its own by creating a checkers game. How many of you can remember the movie War Games? Yeah. Well, that's a real live story of AI that was not made up. As CJ mentioned, I have been in the industry for a long time, and for me, I went to school for business. Honest truth, I hated computers. I had the opportunity to get an additional degree, and it required a computer course, and I chose not to do it. But through the years, what I've learned is that technology is important, and AI is even more so with the development the way it's coming. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some specific software that's available, platforms that will help you with your contracting business, Spec ID, Measure Square, Floor Cloud, ERP systems, and Go Carrera. And then I will turn it over to Shayne to talk about what is AI, Read AI, ChatGPT, and JengAI. As CJ mentioned, I've been in the industry for a long time. It's 4.5 decades as of this year. I started back when you had to go to the Dodge room to look at drawings or go to contractors' offices. The old school way of having to do moisture tests, you had to go to the field to put in the moisture test. You had to go back to the field to read the moisture tests. A lot of the software that we're going to talk about are solutions to speed up that process. The first one is Spec ID. Spec ID is an incredible platform where they have over 1.1 million products with all the documentation that goes with it, product data, safety product information, warranty, installation, all in one place. Through their system, it saves a lot of time and also helps correct errors. Architects, as a general rule, will create 33% errors in writing their specifications. Through their system, you're able to identify those errors, at least when it comes to product information. Through their system, you can create your material lists. You can get your pricing for your projects. You can put your submittals together. There's one company that I work with that does over 300 projects a year, and they have one person do all the submittals using the Spec ID program. The accuracy and the time savings is the key to technology in general, and this is a perfect example where you can save as much as 84% of your time by using their system. Their system integrates with estimating software as well as ERP and CRM programs. Measure Square is one of the many software programs that are available to do estimating. It's one of the best, in my opinion, for the ability specifically for ceramic tile. They constantly are working with contractors to improve their system and make it even better. They will talk with you to customize their software. It has the ability to deal with intricate patterns, both on floors as well as on walls. You can imagine a pattern like these where there's all kinds of curves. It can be a little bit difficult to really get the quantities accurate. However, through Measure Square, you're going to be able to get that information. Measure Square also has a specific module for ceramic tile and large stone. So if you're working in those areas, if you're dealing with the large format tiles or you're dealing with slabs, you definitely want to take a look at that. They're truly focused on innovating and doing whatever they can do to speed up the process of the estimating process for you. They're using AI technology such as being able to automate mapping out or plotting the points of a room, reading information. It's going to save you time on the estimating side, and it's going to also be able to help you with transferring knowledge to the next team member who's going to work on it. OCR, or optical character recognition, is one of the AI terms that you'll hear a lot in a lot of the AI software, and that's basically the ability for the computer to read information that you put into it. So if you're putting in a PDF, it can actually read it to process the information. And they're using that as well to move things forward by being able to read room labels and be able to measure things a whole lot more accurately than before. Floor Cloud is an amazing platform. From the carpet and resilient side, it tends to have a greater strength, but from a ceramic tile side, having been a contractor myself, one of the greatest values that I see in Floor Cloud is those winter months when the heat gets shut off in the middle of the night and you come in and they've already turned it back on and you had no idea that that happened. Floor Cloud is a monitoring system that works with the internet, with a cloud, literally a cloud, to be able to monitor your job site continuously and give you an alert to let you know if the conditions fall outside of the requirements for your material. You actually put the materials into the program for that job site, and it'll recognize that information from the data by the manufacturers. It's going to monitor the air temperature, the humidity, and the moisture in the concrete. It's one of the greatest or cheapest insurance that you can buy on a job site because it does give you that documentation. You get automatic alerts on your phone that you can push directly to whoever you want to. It does have some other features that also enable you to be able to take pictures of job sites and keep a log of information of job conditions. ERP systems, or enterprise resource planning, is the program that works after you've been awarded the job. And some of them will work from the beginning, where you can track your bids, track your sales, and then do all of your accounting afterwards. There's several different companies that provide that. Two of the biggest ones in flooring are Job Runner by Syncly and Structure by CF Data. There's certainly others available as well, and you want to make sure that you're looking into them. They are a large investment, so you want to make sure when you make a commitment to that system that you've really understood what they can do and what your needs are. Go Carrera has been getting developed over the last 5 or 6 years now. It's a way to marry the contractor with labor. They've created a system where they will take installers and give them what they refer to as a hammer rating. It lets people know what their experience is. It's going to give them the rating based on the number of years they've been doing the work, the CEUs, or the training that they get that continues on through the years, and the responses that they get from people who have used them. It does all of the work for you as far as the accounting is concerned. If you hire somebody through Go Carrera, they're going to take care of all the tax forms. It's also a great way to communicate any information that you need with those installers. You can do change orders, video conferencing, and exchange any other kind of information that you may need to with the installers. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Shayne Paterson, who is a guru of AI.
Thank you.
There you go.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Shayne Paterson. I'm the founder of JengAI. JengAI is an analytical CRM made for specialty contractors powered by AI, which means that AI is at the heart of what we do at JengAI to accelerate the bidding and improve win rates. So I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about what AI is, because it feels like it's a big boogeyman for everyone. If you know what that term means, I'm from South Africa. And I wanted to walk you through some of the AI-based products that I use in my everyday that really help me do the things that I do. So let's start with what's different about AI today. Kathy mentioned that it's an old idea. It's been around for a very long time. In fact, at JengAI, we've been using AI for at least the last 5 years. But it hasn't been available to non-technical people up until late 2022, when a small company out of Silicon Valley called OpenAI released a product called ChatGPT, which most of us have already heard of by now. Actually, let me ask a question. How many people are actually using any form of AI knowingly right now? So not that many people. I asked the same question at some other conferences, and it's not that many people now. I'll be curious to see what it looks like in a year's time. Anyway, ChatGPT came out late 2022, and the thing that was so interesting about it was it's the very first time that a person can chat with a machine. So you can type any form of question into a machine, not just a Google search that finds a website that lists a keyword that you're searching for, but literally ask difficult questions. And I'll show you an example of that later on in the presentation. And it'll come back with some very interesting and detailed responses. So what does it mean? You've probably heard the term AI is software writing itself. And what does that actually mean? Let me describe to you how it works, or how it worked up until now, and mostly still works. You have a problem inside of your business. You have something that you want to automate. You want it to make it faster. You'll approach a software developer like me, and you'll walk me through the process. This is what it looks like. This is the process. This is what the input data looks like. This is what the outcome needs to look like. I'll write you a piece of software. You'll tell me about some of the ways that the process works regularly. You'll tell me about some of the ways that the process works sometimes, which we'll call edge cases. And I'll develop the first version of the software, and it'll work okay. It'll work well. But at some point, we'll hit an edge case, and I'll have to release an update to the software to address that problem. And eventually, we'll get to a place where we've got a nice, stable piece of software that is automating really well whatever the process was that we're talking about. Inside of that time, we've probably worked our way through, let's say, 50 to 100 different scenarios. What's different about AI, and when they talk about generating software or software writing itself, what it means is you have a set of input data and you have a set of outcomes. So you'll match the two, input and results. You'll match it, you'll feed it into a special piece of software, which will then, and you'll run through, let's say, hundreds of examples of inputs and outputs. It will generate another piece of software. So it'll write another piece of software, and the outcome of that software is when you take a new piece of data, which is an input, it will produce the output for you. So what's so good about that? One, the fact that it can happen relatively quickly, but two, the fact that you have explored so many scenarios that I spoke about the manual process. We've gone through, let's say, a couple of hundred. At the end of a generation, it will have explored millions of scenarios, which means you can start to see software that can do some pretty incredible stuff. And we're at the beginning point of software doing some pretty crazy stuff that I think is going to change our lives for the better. To give you an example of some of the things you can do right now, this image that you're looking at on the slide, I generated that using AI. So the natural question when we talk about a new technology is, should we be concerned about AI taking all of the jobs? There's a podcast I like to listen to on the screen, All In Podcast. It's hosted by a couple of top investors and technology leaders. And there have been various articles, I'm sure, that we've seen in the media about how scary AI is. And inside of this particular episode on April 5th, they spoke about some of those scary things, and they showed a couple of slides that I thought were very interesting. So a couple of us were around when computers became mainstream. I was still very young at that time, of course, but we saw articles talking about how it's going to take jobs away. Here's an article from the New York Times, June 2nd, 1983, which was literally saying everything that you are hearing in the media today about AI is pretty much in this article. It's talking about how computers are going to eliminate jobs. But what happened? The opposite. I've got a slide here which is talking about the components of the US GDP. It's a little technical, but let me walk you through it, because there are some interesting trends that we can see here from the past, which I think we can give us a sense of comfort for what's coming in the future. So what you're looking at there are GDP of the US from 1929 to 2011. GDP essentially is the revenue of the country. So it tells you how much the country is making. The reason that this is interesting, of course, you can see that it trends up because the country gets wealthier and wealthier as we move through time. But the part of this slide that's interesting to me is if you look at the components of GDP. So you can see that we're presenting the personal spending and government spending. Why is that interesting? So inside of that time frame that I have, I don't have everything. I don't have it up to 2024, but what I do have is the time when personal computers came out, the time when the internet came out, smartphones, social media. So all of these technologies that were extremely disruptive to us. But if you look at the line of personal spending versus government spending, what that is telling you is that it was not impacted at all. So If there was a big impact, what you would see is government spending going up and personal spending going down. But we do not see that. We see that it's very constant. So what does that tell you? That tells you that as disruptive as these technologies were, they didn't have a big impact on how people were making their money or how much money people made. Of course, there are some technologies that do have a very big impact on some jobs. So what I'm showing you here is a presentation that talks about the Industrial Revolution and the impact that the Industrial Revolution had on agriculture. So it's obvious that in the 1800s, a lot of people were employed in agriculture. And as technology became better and better, fewer people were employed by agriculture and less money was made in agriculture. That's obvious. So some jobs are impacted by technology. But this slide's super interesting because it's talking about how compensation has always tracked productivity. So if you look at the timeline, you can see as we've become more technologically advanced, as the capabilities that we have improved, productivity has continued to increase. So a nail gun's a great example. Someone on a site is not hammering in the nails anymore, you're using the nail gun. Productivity boost. One person can do more stuff. A combine harvester on a farm is another great example. So productivity goes up, but compensation goes up. So what do I take away from these? I take away the fact that, yes, AI is going to impact some jobs. Absolutely. But it's also going to create new types of jobs. And overall, what's going to happen is we're going to become more productive. And in a lot of ways, beyond the conveniences that we have, it's probably going to be a great big nothing burger. Okay, so let me talk about a couple of general uses for AI. Doing the busy work, the low-skill type of stuff. Imagine your CRM, you come back from a sales call, you say, "Hi CRM, I'm at Anna from Turner for coffee today, and she wants a tighter bid on the Facebook HQ, reduce the profit on our tile by 2% and send out a new proposal." Other conveniences, summarizing meetings, common analyses, business plans, holiday plans, marketing plans. I've got a video here that John's going to queue up for us of ChatGPT in action. So basically, imagine you have a tile business based in Atlanta, Georgia. Do we have it? No? Okay. While we're queuing it up. So you've got a business in Atlanta doing tile, commercial construction business. You're booking about 25 million in revenue, and you've decided that you want to expand out to Birmingham, Alabama, and in 2 years' time, you want to make another 10 million in revenue. So what I did with ChatGPT, and I promise you it's coming, is I plugged that in. I gave it as much information as I thought it needed. There we go. Okay, can we go to the beginning? And maybe pause right at the top? Okay, so let's do the prompt. Okay, can we pause there? Okay, thank you. So if you have a look, I've basically just plugged in some English. I've plugged in all of the information that I just relayed to you. And normally, if I want to do the expansion, I would have to sit down, I would sit with my management team, we would go through all of these things, and we would come up with a first pass. This gives me the first pass. Let's play the video to the end. So you're still going to have to decide. You're still going to have to do the business expansion, but now you can start with something super interesting. Now it can break out all of the things that you need to do, and it'll come up and it'll probably surface a couple of things that you never really thought of. It breaks out the cost inside of the video. Of course, there are thumbsuck numbers, but you can go away. In fact, the other cool thing is there's no limit to how many questions you can ask. So the more information you feed into that prompt, the more it's going to come back and the more refined the response is going to be.
I can remove it.
Okay.
I don't think it's recording.
Can we jump back to the presentation, please? Okay. Okay, so what we're seeing here is another product that I use called JengAI. What I like, so I use this in all of my meetings. This summary that you see, all I had to do to get the summary was add or include it in my Zoom meeting. And what it did was it kept track of who's in the call, it kept track of who's talking, it transcribed the conversation, so I have a full transcript if I want, which is okay, but there's too much to go through. It also summarizes it. It summarizes the video, it talks about highlights, and then at the end of my call, it's going to send each one of these participants the summary. So for free, I get all of that, but I also get to look a little bit more professional. Just trying to advance here. Okay. So there are already a lot of construction technology platforms out there that are using AI. And of course, JengAI is using AI. So how we're using AI today, we're identifying scope-specific materials in architectural plans, we're quantifying the cost of preparing a bid, and we're doing drawings analysis, so summarizing the drawings using artificial intelligence. How are we going to use it in the future? Contract analysis. So you get, once you win the work, you get a contract. There are hundreds of pages of legalese that you have to go through. Someone has to sit through and look for the punitive language. We're going to do that for you super early so that you can renegotiate those punitive terms if you have that option. Conditions for win analysis. So you get a stream of bid requests and you know next to nothing about, is it a winnable, is it a good project, is it winnable? You know GC, you know location, but we're going to go deeper. We're going to pull information out of the actual plans themselves and give you more information so that when you're deploying your valuable estimation resource, you deploy it on projects that you're probably going to win. And then deeper drawings analysis. So the holy grail for every technology company is trying to figure out how to get quantities out there, and we're going to do that. So JengAI identifies the most lucrative projects for contractors and expedites the time each bid takes to estimate, price, track, and win, all in one place. Our superpowers are integrations and the fact that we're investing so much in pulling information out of those architectural plans. So what we've done is we've tried to simplify the bidding process. So a lot of companies, every company has a bidding process. I can see a lot of people taking pictures because it's quite hard to actually come up with this, this timeline. So we've done that. We've broken it up into 3 stages. The identification stage, where it's important to know what should I bid? Should I bid this or not? Then the estimation stage. The other thing I forgot to mention is integration. So inside of construction technology, there are so many great products out there. We went through a couple of them with Kathy. And I think the way for us to all as technology companies benefit you, our customer, is to integrate with one another so that when you've got one platform that's great at doing one thing, leverage that, but connect it all so that you're getting the benefits of all of the strengths of those products. Anyway, back to, so our stages: identification, estimation, and proposal stage. Okay, I have another video that I'm going to show you, which is going to walk through a couple of highlights of JengAI.
Allow JengAI's revolutionary AI platform to turbocharge your pre-construction process. With our one-of-a-kind platform built for subs just like yourself, you can double the number of bids you send, increase your win rates, and reduce costly errors to almost zero. Picture this. As soon as a bid request lands, AI instantly scans every architectural drawing, setting the stage for your estimating journey. JengAI's automated project analyzer sifts through the plans, searches and identifies finish schedules, and extracts material data. Then it highlights trade-relevant symbols specific to your scope, as well as relevant keywords, notes, and details. It also creates bookmarks for you. Now you have a file of only relevant pages, fully annotated, ready for you to upload into your favorite takeoff software. No more missed symbols, no more costly mistakes, and much faster takeoffs. JengAI makes bid triage smoother than ever. JengAI's machine learning tools provide you with automated bid triage and bid registration. Your bid invites are pulled in directly from Building Connected or other bid invite platforms, with all relevant drawings and documents. Then they are categorized and prioritized. Our software also creates a bid calendar for you, which you can filter by GC, by estimator, by stage and by date. You can assign work to your teams, and also follow up on your bids. Using Spec ID for your material specs and submittals? After automatically extracting material specs from your finish schedule, JengAI seamlessly completes these specs with material information in Spec ID, and creates a fully populated Spec ID project. Experience the combined power of JengAI and Spec ID. What else can we automate? We provide automated tools that streamline material and labor pricing, complemented by one-click solutions for effortlessly creating proposals, sending RFPs to vendors, generating schedule of values, submittals, and more. No more manual entry, no more rework, no more Excel sheets to be kept up to date. Paperwork reduced by 50%. Now, your salespeople can spend more time actually selling. JengAI. Faster estimates with AI accuracy. A winning combo for every bid. What are you waiting for? Join us today.
Thank you. Wait, can we switch from the... Okay, so just to bring the talk to a close, AI is unknown, or it feels unknown because it's new. But sometimes in the unknown is huge opportunities. If you just take a look around and have a play with it. So my personal view is that AI is going to transform all aspects of our lives and our business. And I would urge you to have a look at some of the tools that I shared with you today, and you'll see that it's a little less scary than when you read something on the news. And you're going to start to see all sorts of productivity gains off the back of how AI is developing. So thank you for your time. I'm Shayne Paterson from JengAI. Happy to continue the discussion if anyone would like to reach out outside of the presentation. But we're going to take questions now, if there are any questions. Go. Okay. Great question. So the question was, how is AI affecting the design? I think, so I'm not involved directly in the design side, but I did have a slide earlier where I've listed out a couple of tools, and I can see there Sloyd, Civils AI, Hyper, Augmenter. I think that we're going to see it front to back. I think that all of the things that are done manually, right from the very inception of the project, planning it out, deciding what to buy, all the way through to bidding and winning, is going to be dramatically impacted by AI. So I've seen some cool videos on YouTube about generating designs, reusing existing designs. I think we're going to see it top to bottom. And my hope is it means that architects can spend more time doing the cool stuff if they're spending less time doing the more mundane stuff.
Can I just also add to that, that a lot of the estimating software that's available today, you can import the the actual graphic that shows the product, and you can put it in place. So you can be in front of a client and switch different products and see how it looks in the space, rather than having to hire a draftsperson to create those renderings. And you can do that in real time with someone. So that's certainly a huge benefit, whether it's the product for color or it's patterning, using the same product, creating different patterns. That is available today. And I'd highly recommend, if you haven't been by Measure Square's booth, that is the software that I showed you earlier that had the patterning in it. It's really simple to make those changes to be able to see it.
Any other questions? Ah, there we go. Which is the fastest growing? You know, I don't know. Do you know, I think it's really a product of where the dollars are. So if you think about construction, where are the most dollars? That's probably where it's going to be. If I look at these companies that I have on the screen, you know, it feels like where I'm sitting, because my customers are contractors, specialty contractors. It feels like the general contractors have more money. So from where I'm sitting, it feels like there's going to be a pretty big tech spend there. But ultimately, it depends on the founders. It depends on what inspires the technology people to go out there and get the technology dollars, because the technology, the dollars invested is what drives the change. So people like me, people like Kathy, people like Measure Square, people like Spec ID, we're in the specialty contracting space, and we're going out there and we're chasing dollars. I hope we're going to have an impact. But it feels like there are more dollars on the GC side, I have to say.
In general, just to give you an idea, in August of last year, there were approximately 4,500 AI companies. In January, it was over 10,000. And that's across the board. It's going to grow where the focus is. And the one thing I would highly recommend is not to wait for it to be developed, is to actually use it and participate in the development of the AI. That's basically how Shayne and I got to know each other, because I wanted to work with Shayne to make sure that the AI is being developed in a way that is good for contractors. The challenge, I feel, part of the reason why people have been slow on the contracting side to adapt technology is because it's written by people whose brains process differently than us. And when you go to use the software, it becomes a little bit of a challenge because it doesn't make sense to contractors. I know it didn't for me in the beginning. And so by participating in the process and in the development, you can help also mold the software the way you want it to be.
Any other questions? So the question was, what's the learning curve around learning these programs? Are you talking about using the technology companies in construction, or are you talking about... So the answer is, and I hate to give this answer, but the answer is it depends. It depends on the software itself and how much the people that developed it care about the user experience, if you will. If you saw earlier are my slides still up? Let me just jump back to this quickly. Nope. I can see it there. Here we go.
While you're looking for that, can I just add that mindset has a lot to do with how quickly you can learn the programs. If you're fighting it, it's going to take a whole lot longer. If you feel fearful, it's going to take longer. If you're embracing it and excited about it, you're going to learn it a whole lot quicker.
So a couple of points. One, Kathy mentioned it earlier. A lot of software packages are written by software guys like me who don't come from construction. So they don't really think about, they see the problem as it was, and they write a piece of software and it gets better. And I've been in construction 6 years now. My mindset has changed quite dramatically. So what you're going to see is software will get better and better and easier to understand because, one, it's easier for me to write software now with some of the AI-based tooling. So it's easier for me to write something that's easier for you to understand. But the other thing I mentioned earlier about integrations. So one of the inside of construction technology, a couple of companies are partnering up, and we're trying to, if we're best of breed in a particular space, we're trying to integrate with each other so that you need to learn fewer softwares. So ultimately, what I could picture is you have a piece of software that is at the core of what you're trying to do. What's your role? Oh, fair enough. Okay. So
That's not a just.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you for your work.
The core. There'll be a piece of software that you'll go to, but that go-to software is going to integrate with other software. So you learn that, and then you send the data off to get changed by the other software, but your learning curve has been reduced. So that's the strategy that we're following right now. And there's going to be a learning curve. And as software companies, we've got to try to reduce that learning curve and make our software as simple as possible. But there will be a learning curve. And it's gonna get better and better as we move through time, in my opinion.
It's certainly something that you want to be looking at when you're considering a software plan or software program. Also, you want to consider the mindset of that company and their connectivity or desire to connect to other companies. So as Shayne mentioned, being able to take each component that's best from each company and connect them. People who aren't willing to connect, you're kind of stuck with whatever their company designs for an entire program. So wanting to make sure that they are, I refer to it as playing well in the sandbox, making sure that they're willing to connect to other platforms, even though Measure Square is a perfect example. They have a CRM, but they'll connect to other CRMs because they may not have the perfect CRM for your business plan. So making sure that they have that kind of flexibility so that you can create your system without having to pay somebody like Shayne to create an entire system, having a programmer of your own.
Thank you. That's a great question. Any others?
Kathy, when you say participate in the AI software development, what does that look like if you were to break it down a little bit? Because, like, I have the willingness to participate, but, like, where do you start? What does that look like if you were to explain it like an expert?
Be bold enough to speak your mind. I don't really have a problem in that area. My brother's laughing the loudest. You know, if there's a software company that you like or a platform that you think is going to work for you, but you want some adjustments, have that conversation with that company. And that's part of the process of picking the right company, is recognizing when they listen to you. It's another area where, you know, Measure Square has been huge, and a lot of the companies, Shayne's among them, Spec ID is another, where they have an open mind to adapt. I refer to it as adapt, adopt, or let you know they just can't do it. But participate in the process. If you see a software that you want something a little bit different, just go ahead and ask for it. You don't get what you don't ask for.
Maybe I'd expand on that. Try out the tools inside. Try out readAI, try ChatGPT, try Otter. And then because beyond what our products can solve, the problems we can solve for you, there are great tools that can actually, you can easily generate a solution for a problem in your company yourself. I feel like it's a very exciting time now for someone who's just finished college and they haven't learned how to become a developer yet, but the tooling out there and the capabilities that it can bring to the company. If I was starting a construction company, I would have one person, and their job would be to look for inefficiencies that can be easily solved using ChatGPT or Otter or any one of the hundreds of AI companies out there. Because the cost of that is relatively low to you, and the risk is very low too.
I'd like to expand on a comment that Shayne just made about somebody coming out of college. One of the greatest challenges that we have is getting younger people into our industry. And the more AI that you adapt or adopt, you're going to be more likely to get people in from younger generations. You hear people say they don't want to work. The thing is, they don't want to work hard when they know that there's solutions that can make it easier. So applying that AI or any kind of technology that makes work a little bit easier is going to be a thing that will cause you to be able to get the younger generation interested in the industry.
Another great question. Any more questions? Yes, Chad.
Obviously, we're a customer of both of yours. Our biggest challenge is, as we've discussed, right, is how do you get the people that do not want to jump on board with a true value proposition on board?
Thank you for asking me that question while I'm on stage in front of a whole lot of people. I think you can't force them. I think it has to come from a value perspective. You know, in the same way that when we sell, I can't persuade someone to buy my product. I have to show you that it's going to be valuable. And if you think that there's value, if I can show you that there's value, then you'll buy my product. And if I can't force you to buy it. So that would be my suggestion. Say again, Bill? Right. Quality or speed. Some sort of a benefit. I don't know how helpful that is to you, Chad, but that's the best I've got.
We're all experiencing
that. Right. Yep.
The one thing you can count on is change, though, no matter what. And getting people to adopt to change is huge. But motivating them and seeing the value of the future is one of the keys to getting them to embrace it. Any other questions? Yes.
So you mentioned it was 4,500, now it's 10,000 as of January. You see it going to like 100,000?
Oh, it's going to keep growing. It's going to just keep going because every industry has a specialty. So.
And do you see the cost of each one dropping because of the flood of companies coming in, or?
I don't think that most AI is not expensive to begin with. ChatGPT, you can get a free version, or you can pay $20 a month for the top version. It's not like you're paying thousands of dollars for it. I think that what you're going to see is for the same money, it's going to have greater capabilities. Then maybe at some point, 10, 15 years down the road, you might see a cost reduction. But ultimately, your cost reduction is not going to just be in the software, but the time and being able to replace, taking people who were doing those mundane tasks and putting them in more important positions or more valuable positions. Imagine, from my perspective, taking an estimator that can then do contract management or assist with project management or sales. It just it allows you to redistribute the talent, and it's hard enough to find people to begin with. So if you can take the people you have and do more work with it, then that's already saved you money.
Is the question you're thinking, when do I jump on the bandwagon? Is that what you're thinking? Or are you thinking, when does it get a little cheaper?
Just like some companies will definitely fall off.
Right.
Don't continue to innovate. I was just thinking of the overall picture. You have so many different subcategories, and then there's going to be one company that kind of merges and takes over. So at some point, like, will that be? I don't know exactly where I was going, but that was kind of.
I think what you're going to see is, so in the past, in order to write some software that helps people, it takes a massive technology spend, costs a lot of money. And the the cost becomes the thing that protects that technology company that owns the space. What we're going to see with AI is it's no longer going to be something that we care about that's special. I mean, it doesn't even sell phones anymore. You know, the iPhone has an AI capability. If you take a picture and you stick your finger on the picture, it'll select the outline, but no one cares. And I think what's going to happen is there are going to be lots of companies doing lots of cool stuff. I don't think there's going to be a big consolidation. At the low end, there are going to be other problems that are harder to solve that'll be consolidated into, you know, the big Googles and the Microsofts and of the world. If you're asking yourself, when do I jump on the bandwagon? As soon as you see value would be my advice. As soon as there's a problem that something can solve for you that's going to move the needle for you or your business. Thank you. Thanks for the question. Any more questions? Okay. You've been a great audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you.